are two of the darkest figures in world history. Their names conjure images of hatred and terror on an unprecedented scale. Hitler and Hussein. Their legacies are well known, yet few know the real story of how these two tyrants are actually linked in history. It is a deep and chilling association.
The Baath Party was a fascist party.
For the first time, we'll examine how Saddam's infamous Baath Party was modeled directly on the Nazis. How key figures in what would become the Baath Party established an alliance with Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany during World War II. And how a leading Arab would even become the founder of SS units, charged with inflicting a reign of terror and bloodshed on thousands in Europe. Saddam and the Third Reich, next on the History Channel. March 2003. American and Allied forces storm into Iraq. Their mission, topple the government of the Iraqi dictator, Saddam Hussein. It takes just 3 weeks before the Iraqi armed forces are routed. American forces seize Baghdad, and scenes of U.S. troops inside Saddam Hussein's once magnificent palaces are broadcast around the world. On December 13th, Saddam Hussein, after 8 months on the run, is captured by American troops. With his long beard and disheveled hair, it's hard to believe that this is a man who is charged with the sadistic murder of tens of thousands of his own people, a tyrant who personally tortured many of his victims. How did Saddam Hussein rise to the pinnacle of power in Iraq? Who really were the Baathists, the party that Saddam controlled? What did they try to achieve? A little-known but terrifying reality is that the Baathist movement, its organization, and its methods were directly inspired by the German Nazi Party. The story of Saddam Hussein, the Nazi Party, and the Baath Party begins nearly 2,000 miles from Iraq. It starts in the 1930s, in the French capital, Paris. There, a young Syrian named Michel Aflaq is studying at the University of Sorbonne. Aflaq will later go on to found and lead the Baath Party and become one of the most important influences in the life of Saddam Hussein. Michel Aflaq is the son of a prosperous Syrian-Lebanese merchant family. Syria is a French colony, and it is the custom for the rich to send their sons to be educated in France. The experience will lead many young Syrians to admire French democracy, but not Michel Aflaq.
The kind of parliamentary democracy that the French had brought to Syria and Lebanon was largely a sham. So there were a lot of young people in Lebanon and Syria who saw parliamentary democracy as it was practiced there as completely bogus.
Europe in the 1930s is a hotbed of revolutionary politics. The continent is ravaged by mass unemployment and is fertile ground for extremist ideologies. In Germany, the Nazi Party has come to power. With their parades and uniforms and dangerous ideas, the fascists give the illusion of hope to those who have lost everything. The Nazis blame Jews and communists for all of Europe's ills. But for Michel Aflaq, the Nazi Party has an instant appeal. Hitler promises that Germany will correct the unjust legacy of the First World War. His words resonate powerfully with Afluk, who believes the Arabs have been shamefully mistreated by the British. During World War I, the Arab lands had formed part of the ancient Ottoman Turkish Empire. In 1914, the empire declared war on Russia, an ally of the British and French, and joined forces with Germany. In response, the Allies declared war on Turkey. The British, through their agent, the famous Lawrence of Arabia, promised the Arab tribes that by fighting the Turks and Germans, they would get a massive independent Arab state after the war, stretching all the way from Syria to Yemen. The war ended in defeat for the Germans and the Ottoman Empire. But in 1919, in the post-war carve-up of their territory, the Arab tribes had learned a harsh lesson in the politics of war. As the defeated Turkish Empire is broken up, the British get control of Palestine, Jordan, and Iraq, while the French take Syria. They then ignore their promises to the Arabs, worrying that an Arab state will control the world's oil. To add insult to injury, the British go on to promise a Jewish national homeland in Palestine, without consulting the territory's Arab residents.
We see a strong Arab nationalist movement emerge in the Middle East that was, to a great extent, promoted by the British in their attempts to undermine the Ottoman Empire. Simultaneously, they were also promoting a Zionist cause as well, and we would later see that the problems of promoting these two ideas side by side would have for the British and then indeed Middle East politics as a whole.
To young Arab nationalists like Michel Afluk, the carve-up of the Arab world by the colonial powers was a bitter betrayal. Now, almost 2 decades later, Afluk believes that the Arab peoples can still achieve independence, but only if they unite. As his political model, Afluk looks to one man, Adolf Hitler. Afluk returns to Syria and with like-minded companions begins what he calls study circles, holding countless meetings all over the country. Afluk and his associates slowly begin to build what they call the Baath movement. Baath is the Arabic word for resurrection.
Michel Aflaq was a schoolteacher from Lebanon who was an Arab nationalist at heart, and in the 1940s began to organize a party, the Baath Party, the Arab Renaissance Party, which gathered together like-minded Arab nationalists in Lebanon and in Syria.
Like the Nazi Party, as the Baath Party grows, it sees the established great powers, especially Britain, France, and the United States, as the greatest obstacle to its vision. Under Hitler, Germany was showing that it could defy its enemies, intimidate others, and create its own destiny. The Baath Party means to follow Hitler's example in the Arab world. To Michel Afluk, the overriding aim of the Baath Party is to unite all the Arab peoples, from Morocco and across the entire North African coast, to modern-day Palestine, Iraq, Iran, and beyond. The Baath Party will rule over the whole vast territory, creating a single, powerful fatherland.
The Baath Party was focused mainly on nationalistic issues, to unify or create the Arab nation.
They believed that the Arab world should form one nation state, and therefore all the boundaries set up by the British and the French in the 1920s should be dismantled, and there should be one large Arab state.
By the mid-1930s, the Nazi Party inspires Arab nationalist groups all over the Middle East. In Egypt, the Young Egypt movement holds mass rallies and torchlight processions, imitating the Nazis.